question is about Project 2025. First,
Yep.
Ali, I'm a huge fan of yours and Eamon. You're my favorite MSNBC host, even above even above Joy Reid and Rachel Maddow. And when Mehdi Hassan's show was canceled, I left a profanity-laced yelling voicemail with MSNBC because he was my all-time favorite host. And he, you, and Eamon are the first people I heard on MSNBC use the word fascist and fascism. My point is about Project 2025, and I don't think that the Harris-Walz campaign or the Democratic Party are terrifying the country sufficiently enough for it. I have my own punchline catchphrase, and when you hear it, you'll realize why I will never be hired by any political campaign. And when Mehdi was fired, I don't necessarily have an obvious dog in the fight being an Irish-American agnostic, but I was still outraged. My punchline catchphrase is, when we get Trump back in power, if we, God forbid we do, in 3 to 6 months, we become basically Nazi Germany run by televangelists, and there are no do-overs. I don't think they're terrifying us enough. I don't think the Harris-Walz campaign or the Democratic Party are emphasizing 2025 enough.
Patrick.
I hear your point.
Thank you.
So you got a lot in there. I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm in touch with Mehdi all the time, and I will convey to him. I agree with you. I think he's one of the finest journalists out there, and I'm really heartened by the success. There are lots of reports in the media about his subscribers and the success he's achieving, and I think that's amazing, particularly as we are in this very challenged environment. I hope nobody ever gets anywhere close to Nazi Germany, and I think there are things about Nazi Germany that we're never going to get close to. But what we are getting close to is this nonsense where we think we're safe from these things. And I remind people, if you go back to Germany in 1931, 32, 33, there were a lot of people who didn't leave, a lot of Jews who didn't leave, who reasonably thought, how bad can things get? We're ensconced in the arts, in academia, in government, in sciences. We have Nobel Prize winners. We are fully integrated in society. And what you learn is when we become tribal and horrible, these things fall by the wayside, sadly. So I use the German example only to remind people that in 1933, Germany was one of the most advanced cultures and societies on earth. It was truly, in history, one of the most advanced places, and it was not likely that that was a society that was going to slip into the disarray that it did. And that's why I think it's worth reminding Americans. We can slip, and I do think you're right. I don't know that I would supplant what Harris and Walz are doing, because I think their message makes me feel good, and it makes a lot of people feel good, and maybe they'll go out and vote because they feel good as opposed to scared. And Donald Trump's leaning into the scared a lot more than the good, obviously, scaring people about everything, including what's going to happen to your cats and dogs. But that said, I think we can do both things. I think they can convey a strong message about hope and possibility, and many of us have to convey the message of danger. And that is, you can pick the person you like, or you can make a really big mistake and do this. And so I agree with you, and I think it's worth using whatever tactic works on your friends, your neighbors, your coworkers, to say, all right, if the hope of a better society and a better future appeals to you, that's great. They're offering that. But if you came from a place like I did, where my family grew up under apartheid, where they really knew what it was like to live without politics and democracy, you should be fearful that you can go back there. And I think both of those messages are important, and they should both probably work in parallel between now and the election.